Sometimes people talk about who's an efficient scorer and who isn't, and when they do, they'll often point at the player's field goal percentage. For example, I've heard people say something like, because Damian Lillard has a field goal percentage of 45.7 for the season and 43.6 for his career, he's not as efficient as a player like Andre Drummond, who has a field goal percentage of 53.3 for the season and 54.2 for his career. After all, the league average this season is 46%, so Dame is a slightly below average scorer by this logic. But you see, it's more complicated than that. What is up with it, everybody? My name is Luke, and in this video, we're going to take a look at why field goal percentage is a bad stat and why you should stop paying attention to it. Let's use a simple example here. Let's say Steph Curry scores 30 points on 10 for 20 shooting, with all his shots being threes. Then another game, let's say he does the same thing, scores 30 points on 10 for 20 shooting, but this time, all his shots are twos, and he also goes 10 for 10 from the free throw line. You notice anything here? Yeah, in both scenarios, he scores 30 points with a 50% field goal percentage, but the first scenario is obviously more efficient than the second. That's because in the first one, he took 20 possessions to get the 30 points, while he took 25 possessions in the second one, if we assume that the 10 free throws came from 5 possessions. As a result, Steph scored 1.5 points per possession in the first scenario and 1.2 points per possession in the second. Now, both cases are really efficient, don't get me wrong. For context, the Dallas Mavericks, who have the league's best offense this season, score about 1.16 points per possession. But the point is that in scenarios like this, field goal percentage can be very misleading. It doesn't detail the kind of shots that were taken or anything like that. Ergo, field goal percentage is not a good way to measure efficiency. So what should we use instead? Well, there are two options which I think are good. The first one I'll talk about is effective field goal percentage, which is essentially the same thing as normal field goal percentage, but you count threes as 1.5 baskets instead of 1, which is how it should be anyway. After all, statistically hitting 60% of your twos is as efficient as hitting 40% of your threes. Threes are actually a very efficient shot, assuming you can hit them at least a league average rate of 35% approximately. Now let's go back to Damian Lillard versus Andre Drummond. Because Dame takes half of his shots from 3, which he converts at a 39.4% rate, his effective field goal percentage is 55.4, while Drummond barely shoots any threes, so his effective field goal percentage is only marginally higher than his field goal percentage at 53.6. However, this still does not take into account free throws, so that's why we have the second option, true shooting percentage. True shooting percentage takes into account shots attempted as well as free throws taken. I'll leave the formula down here. The 0.44 is a coefficient which is used to normalize the free throws taken because players don't always take 2 per possession, like with and ones, technical free throws, and if you got fouled on a 3. For a small sample size, it can result in a strange number, but over a season and career, it's really accurate. Now let's apply this to our Dame versus Drummond example to get their true shooting percentage. Dame is an excellent free throw shooter, making 88.8% of them on 7.6%, while Drummond hits an abysmal 57.5% on 5.2 attempts. Therefore, Dame has a higher true shooting percentage of 61.9% compared to Drummond's 55.3%, and their points per possession is about 1.21 and 1.08 respectively. Let's use another example with true shooting percentage. James Harden's field goal percentage is 43.5. But part of the reason why this is the case is because more than half of his shots are threes, which as mentioned before, are an efficient shot assuming you can hit them at least a league average rate. He also shoots a ton of free throws, which are by far the most efficient type of shot as long as you can make them. As a result, his true shooting percentage is 61.6%, which is much better than the league average of 56%. On the other hand, Chris Webber had a field goal percentage of 47.9%, but his true shooting percentage was only 51.3%. This is because he was not a great free throw shooter, and most of his shots were long twos, and those are considered to be the least efficient type of shot. The last thing that I want to mention is that you shouldn't compare true shooting percentages between players of different eras, as efficiency is something that has improved in the league throughout time. For example, Kobe's true shooting percentage for his career is 55%, but he also played in a less efficient era, and he took a lot of difficult shots. so his true shooting percentage was still a couple percent higher than the league average was during his time. For example, during his prime, his true shooting percentage was between 56 and 58%, when the league average was about 54%. But anyway, that does it for this video. Field goal percentage is not a good stat, as it's merely a probability of just how likely a player is to hit a shot. But you don't know anything about the context of the shot, like how many were at the rim, how many were threes, and so on. And remember, no stat is perfect, and at the end of the day, stats will just be stats. What do you guys think of field goal percentage, true shooting percentage, effective field goal percentage, and so on? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed the video, be sure to give it a like, hit the subscribe button, and turn on notifications. And with that, I'm out. See you guys next time.